Welcome to Real Estate Coaching Radio, starring award-winning real estate coaches and #1 international best-selling authors, Tim and Julie Harris. This is the #1 daily radio show for realtors looking for a no BS, authentic, real-time coaching experience. What's really working in today's market, how to generate more leads, make more money, and have more time for what you love in your life. And now your hosts, Tim and Julie Harris.
Welcome back. Today, Julie and I are giving you a plan, 11-step plan to be exact, of how to make $1 million per year in real estate. Now, you can use this plan no matter how long you've been in real estate. And obviously, the longer you're in real estate and the more, experience and clients you've had, the easier it will be to implement this plan. But no matter what, we've had new agents, we have had seasoned veteran agents, and essentially put these steps in place, and they've all had similar success. Can I guarantee you're going to make $1 million to do all 11 steps? Of course not. But I can guarantee you that you will make more money when you follow these 11 steps than you are now, because these are the steps that have proven themselves over long periods of time to be what it takes to be successful in real estate. And I do want to start out by saying this one thing, and please never forget this. Long-time podcast listeners, coaching clients, book readers, you know what I'm about to say. If you want ever increasing levels of success in your business and personal life, you must do what you don't want to do when you don't want to do it at the highest level. And the more of that, in other words, the more doing what you don't want to do when you don't want to do it at the highest level, the more, I think, easier all that, not wanting to do it becomes, and the more money you make. And the more you see yourself in service to others because you're doing what you don't want to do when you don't want to do it at the highest level, and the more money you're making and the ways your lifestyle start to change, the very things that you found so egregious and difficult to do all of a sudden become effortless. That is where I'm hoping and praying all of you guys get to, because that truly is one of the biggest secrets of life that I've ever discovered.
100%. And the faster you come to terms with that fact, the happier you're going to be. I think that's definitely true. So there is a lot to this. We're talking about $1 million here. How can they find the notes?
Well, speaking of a lot of things going on here, there are a lot of details in these notes.
Yes.
We're not going to get to all of them. So today's podcast, more than most, you're going to have to scroll down below, click the link. You can then obviously learn more about Premier Coaching and join Julie and I at eXp Realty. But at the very least, you can look at all the notes that we prepared for all of you. Hopefully, iTunes doesn't clip any of the notes. If they do, our full notes are always available over on our main website, which is timandjulieharris.com. We encourage you to use these notes if you have a real estate team, or obviously if you're a broker, you're looking for good training material. This is all here for you. And frankly, the way that we've grown this podcast so quickly with air quotes, right? The way this has become the #1 daily listened to podcast for real estate agents in at least the United States is because so many of you have become fans of the show and coaching clients as well, because of the fact you're able to use our notes for your own use and training your own teams and whatnot. And we encourage you to do so. Our pleasure, our honor. And Julie, you always do a great job with these notes. So again, guys, they're down below. Scroll below, and then you can follow along. And we're certainly not going to get to all these points today. And just a reminder, if iTunes does clip the notes, as sometimes they do, the long form notes are always available over on our main website, which is timandjulieharris.com.
Perfect. So we're talking about $1 million here. We're going to give you a little bit of math. You're going to adjust accordingly. For example, $1 million gross commission income. If you have a $10,000 average commission, which is based on $400,000 average sale price in the country, and we're running at about that rate, it could take you 100 transactions. Now, if your average sale price is $750,000, it'll take you about 55 transactions. Some of you, $750,000 is a first-time buyer price range where you live.
A lot of them.
Shockingly, a blessing to all of you.
Yes.
If your average sale price is $1 million, you'll need about 40 transactions. Adjust accordingly.
But you know what's fascinating, Julie? And Julie and I were examples of this. We sold over 100 homes our first year in the business, but our average sale price our first year in the business was like 30% of what the average sale price is now. And what happens sometimes is you guys don't realize, because you're blessed with such high sale price and high commission checks, that actually has, you could, if I were to take somebody that's selling 40 houses per year and, pick one of these great markets, and they're making $1 million per year, and I were to drop you into, say, Columbus, Ohio, where Julie and I sold real estate, because you've gotten so used to making $1 million per year, you would quickly figure out how to sell 100 houses per year and make the same amount of money.
Yeah.
So if you're like, oh, I'm limited, I can only sell 25 houses because I'm just so busy, what you've really done is you've grown to the point where emotionally you're comfortable with the amount of money you're making. It's not your inability to sell more homes. It's just, frankly, the amount of money you're making that's where your limiting belief is. I can't earn more money. It's not that you can't sell more houses. Of course you can. But, it all attached back to the, wonderful paychecks you guys are receiving. Does that make sense?
That's right. And that's why we say adjust accordingly. You could, we moved, right? We moved physically, and we also moved our average sale price up. So that might be a good move.
Well, we moved from where it was, basically where our average sale price was around $1 million.
Yes.
And that was towards the end of our career.
Exactly.
So we sold.
You have options in real estate. That's the whole blessing of it.
Yeah, it is. And by the way, the skills are portable. What
Yes.
you learn, if you learn how to be really good selling real estate, you can be really good selling real estate in any market, in any part of the country, in any part of the world. I mean, we have coaching clients in different parts of the world, at any price point. The skill set that we teach you in Premier Coaching is all the same. By the way, the link to join Premier Coaching is down below in the show notes, or you can just go to premiercoaching.com. And yes, guys, we are still giving you the first 30 days for free, and that does include a daily semi-private coaching call with one of our Harris certified coaches.
Okay, so again, if the goal is $1 million, that's great. You can adjust accordingly. Maybe your goal is $250,000 or $500,000 and your average sale price is $600,000. We gave you some patterns of the math here, and certainly one of our coaches can, of course, help you put this into a very specific plan tailor-made for you. All right, so point number 1, we're diving into how you can potentially make at least $1 million. Decide and accept the fact that your success is up to you and only you. We often start these lists with mindset tips. Okay. So if it's meant to be, it's up to me. That needs to be your mantra. It is not up to your broker. It's not up to the market, the interest rates, or who's president. It is up to you. So be responsible for your success. Own it all. There will be at least 5 million sales this year. How many will you be involved in? That's up to you. Remember, if it's meant to be, it's up to me. So make sure your mindset is screwed on straight. Number 2, invest your time before you invest your money. People invest 4 years or more in a college education only to graduate, sometimes, with student loan debt and a job that they could hate for the next decade or more. You can't skip learning and be earning at the level that you desire. Work sporadically and you'll get sporadic income. Work consistently and you'll achieve momentum a lot faster.
And as far as what the work is that you should be doing, obviously join Premier Coaching. The work that you should be doing every day is less than you're doing now, most certainly, but it's work that's more targeted. Right?
Yes.
It's less speculative, but it's more focused on actually being in the service to other people and working directly with the people that already have their hands in their air wanting to buy or sell real estate. So if you're curious or if you're confused about the work you should be doing, take the next natural step and become a Premier Coaching client.
Yes, there's work theater and then there's work that's effective, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so stages of learning. I'm going to do this quickly because you can get the notes. You have to go through these in order. There is no skipping of the stages of learning. The first one is called formulation. That's getting ready to get started, creating your plan. Some of you listen to these podcasts very religiously, and we appreciate that, but you are in formulation for sometimes a couple of years. You're getting ready to get started. I'm going to join coaching one day. I promise I'm going to do it, but I got to think about it some more. So that's formulation. Next is concentration, doing the actual work, learning and using your skill. That's called earn while you learn. Then that brings you into momentum. Now, how fast you get to momentum depends on how long you spend in concentration. Everybody wants to skip the doing the actual work, learning and using your skill.
Concentration is where most people in virtually all aspects of life fail, frankly.
They lose their way because it's hard.
Because you start looking for shortcuts. You'll start looking for easy buttons. I mean, at the beginning of the year, the gym is packed. By April, the gym is no longer packed because people have given up.
That's right. Sometimes sooner than that. So everybody wants to get to the third stage, which is momentum. That's where you have repetitious, predictable success. Then you get to breakthrough, high-level implementation without getting bored and falling back to the first stage. So that comes with some of its own issues. We do have some coaching clients that have gotten to the point where they feel real estate's boring. They join coaching because they want a new challenge. I'm thinking about my new coaching client, Gina, in Pittsburgh. She has hired me to help her move to Florida.
Oh, yeah. She's got a great story.
She does have a great story. So, everybody is in different stages all the time. So, for example, some of you have really great buyer momentum, but you're not really great in the listing momentum. You're not at the same stage all the time with all things in life.
I'm going to say this too, because it's a great place to talk about it. If you are in a brokerage situation or an office environment where you're not naturally wanting to go to the next level, you feel yourself, being bored, right? You feel yourself in complacency. In other words, your life isn't meaningfully changing from one year to the next or 1 month to the next. You're doing the same amount of transactions or less. You're earning the same amount of money or less. Probably your environment's pretty terrible and you need to do a brokerage upgrade. And one of frankly, the best business decisions that Julie and I have made, certainly in our real estate careers, has been aligning with eXp Realty. We did that 5 years ago. We encourage all of you to take a hard look at that. The link to join, to learn more about eXp Realty, because really all of you are in two camps. You're the curious about eXp Realty, or we call eXp Realty Curious, and the next group of you are ready to join eXp Realty. For those of you who are eXp Realty Curious, the link to learn more about eXp Realty is below, and that is our group's website. You're going to want to join eXp. You might as well join with a very successful eXp Realty sponsoring group. The information is below. Or if you're ready to land the plane and choose your eXp Realty sponsor, Julie and I are formally applying for the job to be your eXp Realty sponsors. Our resume is our success, having helped literally thousands of other people join eXp Realty, so we encourage you to do the same. And you can text me directly. If you're ready to join eXp Realty and you're looking for a sponsor, it's going to be very proactive in your success. Text me at 512-758-0206. Text, don't call. Text, don't call. That is my real cell phone number. Text me at 512-758-0206. Give me a little bit of information about you, and we'll follow up and take the next natural step as you progress to become an eXp Realty agent and align with Julie and I at eXp Realty.
All right, so back to our $1 million plan. Number 3, and this really, I'm interested to see if you agree with this. I really feel like this is non-negotiable. You must have the following immediately to pursue this plan.
Well, I'll say what your plan is, what you're about to tell them, are pretty much that. The next one, which is lead follow up. But these 4 things that she's about to rattle off to you guys are the skill sets you absolutely need to have, and they tie directly in with you really only have to be a master of 3 or 4 different things in real estate to be wildly successful, despite what everyone else is telling you.
Yes, but you have to have these 4 things. First one is scripts. Conversation outlines.
Right.
Proactive lead generation conversation outlines, open house conversation outlines, lead follow-up scripts, basic conversations with your sphere of influence, pre-qualifying and closing. Scripts, i.e. conversation outlines, are simply questions that lead to a close. You do have to use these. You're using them already. They're just stuff that you've made up that is sometimes randomly effective and sometimes not.
And you're only successful with centers of influence and past clients because they're not that particular. They've already decided they're going to work with you. It's a blessing, but if you ever want to expand your business, you're going to have to start learning to work with people that don't know you already, won't naturally just choose you. And by the way, here's how we want you to learn our scripts. We want you to memorize them first, then we want you to internalize them, then we want you to personalize them. And memorize them, internalize them, personalize them.
Not the other way around.
Which is what most agents do. They go right to personalizing. Mm-hmm. So let me get this right. Your previous employee, you were a school teacher, or you were a police officer, or you're retired military, or you've done nothing to do with sales ever, and you get our scripts and you think somehow magically you can write a better script. Why would you take the risk? Why would you essentially, waste your time doing that? Memorize our scripts exactly the way we wrote them, exactly the way we want you to say them. And then we want you to internalize them. That's when it starts feeling like your words naturally. Then we want you to personalize them. Then change them a little bit to make it so it feels more natural. If you go right to personalize them, you're going to change things, ask questions in the wrong order. You're going to lose all the intent and the effectiveness of the script, and you will not have very much success because guess what? You're back in the winging it mode.
That's right. I always, in my mind, I think about a musician. Like, let's say, how does a jazz musician come up with all that stuff on the fly and it sounds good? It's because they have memorized so many scales and so many intricate things and made it part of them that they now have the fluidity to play like that. It's exactly the same with conversations. Next thing you absolutely cannot function without is a proven pre-listing package. Not your brokers, not something you found for free online, a proven, powerful, personalized to you pre-listing package.
But Tim and Julie, what the heck's a pre-listing package? The pre-listing package is something you send over to the seller after you set the appointment, after you pre-qualified them, which acts basically as your silent assassin. Julie doesn't like when I say that, but it is what it is. It's your silent salesperson, right? It's the thing that's going to answer all the questions that you hope to never hear come out of the mouths of your prospective sellers.
It's assassinating objections.
Exactly. That's what it's doing. It's going to answer the questions about commission, listing term, what you're going to do to get the home sold, your experience, all this. It is all part of the Premier Coaching system. The pre-listing package, along with all of our scripts, they are copywritten. They are owned by us. You will not find them online. We do not give them away. This is proprietary information that's for use by our Premier Coaching members. But you definitely need a powerful pre-listing package. Next, you definitely need a proving listing presentation. Letter C, a proven listing presentation. That should be self-evident what that means. But what it does mean is the listing presentation has to be something that is designed, frankly, to answer the seller's specific questions, not the way most of you do it now, where you show up with a bunch of stuff that the seller may or may not care about, right?
Yes, and there's an art to this whole thing.
Right. And if you go into a listing presentation, you are telling the seller about all these things about you and how great you are and all of your awards and your time in the market. And here's a place, you work on this charity and you work on that charity. How much of that do you think the seller really cares about? And if you then are competing with somebody who's been following our system, you will most likely lose, even if that seller is a center of influence and past client person, because we teach our coaching clients, a lot of you, how to actually present to the seller, just focusing on what matters to them, not what you think might matter to them or what you maybe even consider doesn't matter to them. Look, they're thrilled you have a golden retriever, but they don't want you taking up their evenings as you're sitting there with the idea of getting their home listed, talking about your hobbies. They really don't care. You need to really, frankly, get your game on with regards to listing presentations. In the last letter...
And there's scripts for that, of course.
Right. And the last letter is point number D, buyer presentations. We've been teaching buyer presentations to agents forever. It's not something that's new for us. It's like a listing presentation specifically with buyers. Now I'm going to do a bonus point to point number 3.
Okay.
There's only 4 things in real estate, 5 arguably, that you need to be a master of. And beyond these things, frankly, if you're terrible at the rest of it, it's fine. You can easily delegate those things. Number 1 is you have to be great at proactive lead generation. Number 2, you have to be great at pre-qualifying. Number 3, you have to be great at presenting listing presentations, buyer presentations. You have to be great at negotiating and ultimately closing. And then the bonus one would be really great at furiously fast lead follow-up. If you're good at the appointment setting and the pre-qualifying, you're going to set the appointment then. And so, the lead follow-up becomes less of an issue. The lead follow-up is important because sometimes the people won't be able to set an appointment with you, so you'll have to do lead follow-up. Moral of the story is proactive lead generation, pre-qualifying, presenting, negotiating, and closing, and then furiously fast lead follow-up. Those 5 things, arguably 6 things, when you become really good at those things, the best ever at those things, I got great news for all of you. You can be terrible at everything else because it's easily delegated. You can hire someone to do your marketing if you choose to do it. You can hire somebody to do your videos if you choose to do it.
Transaction coordinator.
Easily. All that stuff. But you can't easily delegate those other activities at a high level. And that's how you have massive margins. If you're good at proactive lead generating, pre-qualifying, presenting, negotiating, and closing, and obviously lead follow-up, if you're really good at those, you never delegate those things, you will find yourself in a position where the air is indeed rare because so many other agents have never learned what Julie and I just shared with you. Those activities are what put you in a position of power and control. And frankly, you want to know how to have a killer brand? You have a killer brand from the fact that you've gotten results at such a high level for so many people. You can't buy a reputation, aka branding. You have to earn it. Become good at those activities.
Yes, and I would say that you cannot make even $500,000 a year if you suck at any of those things.
I agree.
You have to be really great specifically at those things.
You can be the world's greatest lead buyer, right?
Absolutely.
You can buy every lead that's available in your marketplace. But if you are terrible at pre-qualifying and presenting and closing, you're not going to make any money.
You could even be really kick-ass at presenting, but if you really suck at lead generation and you don't have anybody to present to,
exactly,
that's no good. Okay, so hopefully you guys take that point seriously. Point number 4, you cannot be weird about being a salesperson, about talking about real estate, about talking to people. Don't be a secret agent. It's not profitable. You cannot make a even close to reasonable income if you are weird about being a salesperson.
A lot of you are weird about being a salesperson. How do I know? How often do you actually talk about real estate? When was the last time you actually proactively asked someone, a little innocuous question as you're walking away from the Starbucks manager you see every morning? By the way, who do you know is thinking about buying or selling real estate?
Oh, I don't want to feel desperate. I don't want to sound desperate.
Exactly. I don't want to seem like a pushy salesperson. Okay.
Well, then you're not going to make decent money.
Or any money.
Or possibly any money.
Which is the unfortunate truth for most agents.
They fail out. I know. We're trying to save you from that. Okay. So don't be worried about being a salesperson. This is a contact business. That means face-to-face, voice-to-voice.
The word salesperson causes a lot of people an absolute revulsion, right? They're almost like you're getting them to smelling salts, Right. But the simple fact is you cannot be successful in anything in life if you're not a good salesperson. And there was a great book. It was written by a physician or somebody that you would think would be the antithesis of a salesperson. Mm-hmm. And he said one of his greatest regrets was not learning how important it was to be a great salesperson earlier in his career. Because, look, it does not matter if you're the Pope, if you're the president, air quoting the president, right? If you're a doctor, if you're a lawyer, if you're a candlestick maker, if you're a shoe cobbler, if you're a software engineer, if you're not a great salesperson, if you're not great at selling your ideas and you're a software engineer, you're never going to progress because people are never going to really, they're not going to listen to what you have to say. If you're not a great salesperson, you're a doctor, who's going to want to use you into doing the procedures? You have to actually sell them into doing the procedure with you, or they're not going to do the procedure with you. If you are really bad at selling someone into doing a procedure, even if it's something that they desperately need, they're going to choose somebody else.
Yes.
This is just life. This is the reality of it. If you're not a great salesperson, you're not going to get married.
No, you know what's hilarious
about
this? Or stay married. I think that people are born great salespeople if you think about kids.
Yeah.
Okay? They don't give up. They keep on asking. They have different angles. They have different scripts they try. They are constantly working that. And then something happens, I think, roundabout, graduating from high school or college or whatever. And then, now all of a sudden you have a problem with that.
Well, there's definitely a large subset of humanity that look down their noses at salespeople.
Yes.
And they're the ones that, frankly, choose the more bureaucratic roles in life where they have the least resistance. Conflict-free. Mm-hmm. And they're the ones, and I'm sorry when I'm saying, boils your goose, but the reality of it is it's true. And if you want to be, there's a direct correlation between the number of the amount of, I think, being materialistic, things you have in life, but the quality of your life, the experiences you have, the quality of your relationships, the people, everything. Mm-hmm. Your life is essentially determined, and the quality of your life is determined by the number of people you help. That's it. So if you're not living a really wonderful life, that you are just waking up every morning in complete, essentially appreciation of what you're surrounded by, it's because the past version of you 12 months ago, 12 days ago, 12 years ago, wasn't willing to do what they didn't want to do, and they didn't want to do it at the highest level. You weren't actually willing to accept the fact that there is a direct connection between the number of people that you help to achieve their goals and the amount of goals that you're actually going to accomplish in your life. That's it. Don't be jealous of other people. Don't be like, I said this once live at an event. Someone said, well, what about Tom Cruise? And I said, well, let's think about Tom Cruise. He gets $50, $100 million per movie. Seems like a lot of money. But how many people watch that movie? How many people for the 90 minutes that they're watching the movie are, essentially following along with Tom Cruise as he's jumping from building to building or flying helicopters?
Entertained.
Exactly.
Sure.
So he is delivering something of value to millions and millions of people, and that's the reason he's worth that amount of money. Julie and I are Formula One fans. Even Julie's a Formula One fan. People think that she's just a hanger-oner because I am, but she is too.
Yeah.
Lewis Hamilton just moved from Mercedes, where he was getting $60 million a year, over to Ferrari, now where he's getting $100 million a year. And, why did Ferrari think he was worth that much? And by the way, when he moved over, the Ferrari share value in that one day went up by $4 billion. Why? Because Lewis Hamilton is worth it, because that many people really prize him as one of the best Formula One drivers of all time, and because he is entertaining.
He's bringing value.
He's bringing value. And the top producing agent in your marketplace. Why are they the top producing agent in your marketplace? Because they sell more houses than you. But why is it that they have more things than you? Because they sell more houses than you. Because they have already connected the dots in their brains that I am a people. The highest and truest purpose of all of us on this planet is being of service to other people. And luckily, in this industry, when you adopt that mindset, you can make millions and millions of dollars.
Well put. Number 5, have and follow, there's the rub, a business plan. Not just have it, not just put it in your desk. Your desk isn't going to follow it. Actually follow a business plan. Failing to plan is planning to fail. Get your real estate treasure map today and get started immediately, because your treasure map is your personalized life and business plan.
How do they get that for free, Julie?
Well, you can go to premiercoaching.com. You get it immediately in your first free month of coaching. No excuses.
Or scroll down below and just click the link.
There you go. Easier said. Okay, so in the treasure map, you get a lot of things. This is the short list. Your goals. Why are you in real estate? What must real estate accomplish for you and your family? We walk you through goals in 5 areas of life. Your personal goals. Where will you get your business from? Understand lead generation. Remember, Tim just went through, if you're terrible at lead generation, the rest of the plan isn't going to work. So you've got to understand that at a higher level.
And I'm going to say buying leads is a kissing cousin to being terrible at lead generation.
Absolutely.
There, I said
it's
it.
kind of the definition of it. In a
Exactly.
way.
If you're buying leads, you literally are terrible at lead generation.
Yeah.
And in a world that we live in where there's so much demand for housing, one listing comes for sale, there's 10 buyers who want to buy it in virtually every market. At least. There is no shortage of leads. Stop buying leads.
Yes. Also in the treasure map, you're going to figure out what your magic number is. That is the number of listings you have to have at all times to drive sales to your monthly sales goals.
I'm going to say this, Julie. I said this to you this morning. Julie and I, over the last, I think, since 2007, really, when all these lead generation selling platforms have basically become very prolific, Zillow and the rest, Julie and I have been blackballed from a lot of essentially the stages that we used to speak on. And I don't give a rat's ass, because I'll tell you why. Because the reality of it is all of those stages were being paid for by companies that were trying to sell you guys things that Julie and I fundamentally know you don't need. And so when we were put on stages and we would tell people, well, hey, guess what? There'll be some, expert on building a CRM who's on stage and telling you that you win with having more people in your CRM and, blah, 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 blah. We would be asked to edit what we're going to say so we were more in alignment with the vendors that were paying for the event. Do you guys know Julie and I? Do you think we edited what we were going to say? No, we did not. And we would go up there and we would tell them the truth. Based on every single study that's been done forever, long-term lead follow-up is for the most part a waste of money and a waste of time. Now, if you want to do long-term lead follow-up, redefine what long-term is. Long-term is 90 days or 120 days. And if you're not calling those people, you're going to lose whatever may have come from that particular list. That is the antithesis of what they're trying to sell you into believing. Mm-hmm. And there were lots and lots of companies, and there still are, who are all about selling you guys leads. They don't want us speaking at their environments, in their events, because we're going to tell you the truth that lead generation is simple and you should learn to be a proactive lead generator. We have always been, even at our detriment, and always will be, in alignment with what is, frankly, in the best interest of all you guys, even if it means we make less money, which it has, for sure. I mean, if Julie and I back in 2007 had become, Zillow zealots like some of our competitors did, we probably would have made more money, but we have been out of alignment with what we felt was, what we know is to be the truth.
Because we actually sold real estate.
And guess what? Over time, what happened? We have stayed in business. We have become more successful doing what we didn't want to do, and we didn't want to do at the highest level. We gave up short-term riches, basically, for long-term wealth. That's what we did. And a lot of you guys are benefiting from all of that because you're listening and internalizing what we're saying. We didn't go for the easy button. We went for the hard thing to do, even though we knew it was going to take more time. That's what works in life, in all aspects of life. You can't become a winning MMA fighter or a winning, musician just because you decide to. Nope. You have to put in the work. The reps pay off over time.
All right. And that's why we have our own stage.
Yes.
Point number 6.
It's not funny. I mean, today we're presenting in front of probably 15 to 20,000 people.
There you have it.
That's a lot of people.
Asked and answered. Number 6, define what makes you unique. Can you answer the question, what makes you different? Why should I hire you? And now that's not just for listings, that's also for buyers. But sellers ask for a reduced commission because they don't know any other way to sort agents out. Buyers ask agents for kickbacks for the same reason. It's your job to show your value, and that's why you've got to start with your pre-listing package. It's
That
also why the pressure to have a buyer presentation is now more than ever.
If you're getting a commission reduction conversation that's coming up during your listing presentations, it's because your pre-listing pack doesn't exist or it sucks.
There's no other reason.
You need to use our pre-listing pack because it removes all the gnarly. Here's how we created it originally. Julie and I know this sounds like a wonderful problem. I'm not bragging. I'm just telling you the truth. Julie and I became really good at proactively generating. Our business started to take off in a big, meaningful way. She and I got sick of going on listing appointments. I was going on listing appointments, sometimes 3 a day. And you guys know me. I'm leaving it all on the table. And at the end of the day, I was exhausted. So we come to the conclusion, and Julie was going on some too. Julie would go on mostly the higher end ones. I was just whatever she said in my appointment, I was going on. And so I didn't even, here's the CMA, Tim. Here's the address. Bye-bye. Go get it.
Out the door.
All right. So after a while, not that long, we realized we needed someone to go on a listing appointment with us or for us. We knew they wouldn't be as effective at us because they're not us, just the way it is. So we developed the pre-listing pack, and we developed it. It evolved. It took us years to get it. What you guys can just immediately, urgently get as soon as you join Premier Coaching. Why? Because we hired a gal named Lisa and then another person to go on listing presentations with us. Lisa had a real estate license, sold a few homes, but her primary job prior to working for us was a bartender. But she was able to plug into our system. She had a nice personality. She was presentable. We'd send the pre-listing pack ahead of time. And guess what happened? We would, generally speaking, Julie and I were taking 9 out of 10, if not more, listings we would go on. She started out taking by 7 out of 10, but she got to 8 out of 10. She was almost as effective as us going on listing appointments because of the pre-listing pack.
Yes.
And she was following the system that we created. That's the system that you guys can plug into.
And that's what answers the question, what makes you different? Why should I hire you versus fill in the blank, anybody else? Okay, point number 7, get into momentum and stay there. Let's say you've used the treasure map that you get in Premier Coaching to understand lead generation, to set specific financial goals, to know your magic number, and to create your daily schedule. Now you have to do the work. Remember, we talked about the second stage is concentration. That's doing the work. It is required to drill down and get to work and to focus. That means follow one course until successful. You cannot bounce around. You cannot hit the easy button. You can't just try and skip this step if you're concentrating on that kind of income. It is impossible. Point number 8, track. This is really important. We do a lot of this in coaching. Track everything using your visual accountability and your whiteboards through your Premier Coaching program. Know where your business is coming from, what your average sale price is, if you're on track, ahead or behind of your goals. Tracking everything is key to your success, especially when you get into this upper echelon of income.
In Premier Coaching, there's pictures of what these things look like. In the first level of Premier Coaching, which you guys get for free when you join Premier Coaching, all of this, or about half of this, is part of the Real Estate Treasure Map, which is your fill-in-the-blank business plan. When you join Premier Coaching, a lot of you are doing it right now, clicking the link or going to premiercoaching.com. Download the Treasure Map, complete that first, because that really becomes your North Star for your business and personal life.
Point number 9, you spoke to this, be relentless with, and again, remember, this is the list that you can't suck at. Be relentless with lead generation.
Proactive lead generation.
Proactive lead generation, not passive. Furiously fast lead follow-up, pre-qualifying, presenting, negotiating, and closing. But your number one job in real estate is to constantly, consistently generate new business while still providing the best experience to your existing clients. This is the most critical skill to perfect, or you're never going to get to a 7-figure income ever. It is impossible.
And the pre-listing pack, frankly, makes it so you're presenting. Our listing presentation, guys, is 15 minutes. If you want to make it longer, you're welcome to, but I have news for you. The seller doesn't want you in the house, and the pre-listing pack that you sent ahead of time pretty much did all the selling for you. They're already, provided you show up on time and you follow our listing presentation, you're going to take that listing. So you don't need to rethink any of this. In negotiating and closing, we've actually had many coaching clients who didn't want to negotiate or close their own deals. So their transaction coordinator in a market where it's a seller's market, it's not that hard.
No,
but
choose the best offer.
Exactly, choose the best offer.
And there's actually software that will spreadsheet all that out for you.
I know. So my point is really what you guys need to focus on is really proactive lead generation, pre-qualifying, presenting, and then negotiating and closing. If you didn't even want to become the best at that, that's fine. But Julie's right. Furiously fast lead follow-up is up there as well. How many other things beyond that do you really, think about it. What are your list of things that you should be doing in real estate right now? How much of it has to do with working on tweaking, adding,
Dripping.
editing?
Don't forget dripping.
Oh, I got to yuck.
Yuck. Gross.
Double yuck.
Ugh.
Right, dripping. Nobody wants to drip, especially the older you get.
They have wipes for that.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, no, we're going to get gross.
Sorry.
Yeah. So you guys get the point. Focus on the things that are going to put you in a position to help the most people and help you make the most amount of money. And give yourself permission to become so good at those things that you laugh when somebody else tries to call you and sell you a lead.
There you are. Point number 10. We're at the finish line almost. Follow the spokes in the wheel model. There is no silver bullet, easy button to lead generation. You have to have multiple spokes of lead generation on your wheel. We talk about the spokes on virtually every podcast.
But it's also in Real Estate Treasure Map, which you're going to
course.
get for free when you join Premier Coaching.
That's right. So create your wheel and include both proactive and passive, but you have to lead with proactive lead generation spokes and make it predictable and duplicatable. There is no easy button. I know people try and sell you stuff all day long. You actually see this copy. It'll say, end your lead generation woes forever. Never a cold call again.
I know.
You know, they know what triggers you guys.
If
So
you
don't
guys-
fall for it.
If you guys are hearing us say what we say every single day on this podcast and you're not wanting to follow the coaching that we're giving you, I want you to ask yourself why. If you're saying to yourself, you know what, here, let me just unpeel this a little bit more. Don't you intuitively know what we're saying is the truth? I mean, don't you? Isn't it obvious?
That's why it bothers some of them.
Right, exactly. And that's exactly what, because it is the truth. And once you have said to yourself, damn it, it's the truth. Where does that leave you? Having to actually do it, which means you're going to have to make yourself a little uncomfortable, which means you're going to have to do what you don't want to do when you don't want to do it at the highest level. How many of you are right there, standing right on the edge of the actual playing field, and maybe you dipped a toe onto the field, but you just held yourself back? It's time for you to get out there and win the game. And that's going to take you being uncomfortable. You're going to have to take some hits. You're going to have to learn some skills. You're going to have to learn how to ebb and flow. You're going to have to learn how to throw the ball, catch the ball. You're going to have to learn to play. And then what's going to happen is you're going to start winning at levels that you need to give yourself permission to experience.
Last but not least, number 11, be absolutely listing focused. Listings drive everything. Buyers drive one transaction at a time, and even then, that's only sometimes.
Not to mention the fact you have to drive the buyers around.
Yes, that's right. Good point. Know your magic number and relentlessly maintain or grow it. It is the engine that fuels your business. Last but not least, get help when you need it. Don't navigate the real estate wilds alone. Just join Premier Coaching today. Go to premiercoaching.com and sign up for free. Have we removed all of their objections to? I mean, I feel like we're talking them into making $1 million. Can you guys just do that for us?
You know, it's funny is you and I have been doing this. We've had 5,000 podcasts. We've been coaching full time for I don't even know how long at this point. Had so many coaching calls. And I know for a fact this is going to be one of those podcasts where this is the response that someone's going to get. I've been listening to Tim and Julie for years, and sometimes it's a long damn time. I mean, they knew some of you guys have been attached to Julie and I since the late 90s. And this is usually it's one version of this or not. I didn't want to listen to what they were saying. And so I tried everything else. Yeah. I tried the fairy tale coaching program. I tried the Centers of Influence, past client. I tried the YouTube thing. I tried this. I kept on listening to Tim and Julie.
I sent so many forget-me-not seeds. There's fields and fields of them.
And they're like, I dropped off so many pumpkin pies last November. And finally, after all of these attempts of not having to do what I don't want to do at the highest level, I'm sick of my own malarkey. I'm sick of my own BS.
The creative avoidance ends.
It is over. And now now I know some of you are going to have this podcast, and probably the one we did yesterday, as being that straw that finally breaks the camel's back. Hey, welcome to Premier Coaching.
Yeah, exactly.
Welcome to our orbit. Now it's time for you guys to join the community, premiercoaching.com. And also, if you want to take the next natural step in your real estate career, it is time for you to seriously look at eXp Realty. Julie and I are prideful when we say it's one of the best decisions we ever made. I encourage you to consider the same decision for yourself. You can scroll down below, click on the link, learn more about Julie and I's Premier Coaching Program, which also includes free coaching. Or if you're learn more what we're giving you in addition to what eXp gives you. But if you're ready to land the plane and join eXp Realty now, today, you're looking for a sponsor. It's going to be really, way more proactive in your success than maybe even you're ready to have that person be that motivated for you. That's Julie and I. Yes, we're ready to be your sponsor. Text us directly at 512-758-0206. That is my real cell phone number. That is not some sort of 17-stage drip campaign controlled by bots and AI. Nope. That's my cell phone number. Julie and I, live by what we preach. Text me directly. Give me a little bit of information about yourself, and we'll take the next natural step and help you move up to eXp Realty. In the meantime, thank you for keeping this number one listened to daily podcast for real estate professionals in at least the United States. You guys have a fantastic day. We'll talk with you on the show tomorrow.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.